Hey groupers, hope you're ready to dig in to our next message for Christmas, is studying what happens in Matthew chapter 1. This last week I shared a little bit of my mom's obsession with our family's genealogy. I wonder if we could break the ice by you talking about that. How many of you are really interested in this genealogy stuff? How many of you have done some of this genealogy stuff? And could you share maybe some interesting facts like I shared? Any famous folks in your genealogy? One of my great-grandfathers signed the Declaration of Independence. That's my claim to fame. What about you? And then, second icebreaker, confession time. How many of you, when you come to Matthew and you're reading your Bible and it's that time to get to Matthew chapter 1, how many of you skim through these first verses when you sit down with Matthew and really, slow back down when you get to the action? The angel came to Joseph. I just wonder how many of you would just confess to skimming these. I'll admit that it's been skimmed a few times in my life as I've read through my Bible. Well, we're not skimming it to this time. We're slowing down and we're looking at the grandmothers of Jesus. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to do a little research, a little Old Testament study on a few of these grandmothers, 4 of them specifically. First, I'd like you to read about Tamar. In order to do that, you need to read the entire chapter of Genesis chapter 38. That's verses 1 through 30. And then turn a few pages, get to Joshua, and I'd like you to read about Rahab, the prostitute. And in order to do that, you need to read Joshua 2, 1 through 21, and then turn a couple more pages and read Joshua 6, 17 through 25. And just familiarize yourself with this Rahab character. And then Ruth. Now, Ruth has an entire book named after her, so that's pretty exciting. She's pretty famous. Just to shortly familiarize yourself with Ruth, turn to the 4th chapter of her book and read verses 1 through 12. Verses 1 through 12. Interesting kinsman redeemer language there. And then, finally, we should talk about Bathsheba. Remember, she's not even named. Matthew doesn't even mention her, but he does mention her. He says, the mother who had been Uriah's wife. And so, I'd like you to read about Bathsheba, 2 Samuel 11, it's the whole chapter, verses 1 through 27. And then turn to 2 Samuel 23 and read verse 39. And read about Uriah, one of David's mighty men. Well, after you've read through these passages, what I'd like you to talk about is, let's be gender exclusive for just a second. If you're a woman, what does it mean to you that these ladies are mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus? In a patriarchal society, ladies, what does that mean to you? And then, after the ladies have had a chance to share, I'd like the men to share. Men, what does it mean to you that these ladies are mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus? How do these ladies being mentioned impact you? How does it impact your mind? What do you think about it? How does it impact your heart? How do you feel about it? How does it impact your spirit? What does it really say to you about your relationship with God? Well, one of the things that seems obvious to me, and that when we read a detailed genealogy like this, is that God always had a plan. God knew that he was going to come, and he was working carefully through the people of Israel to bring about his plan. So what I want to know is, how does it make you feel? What do you think about when you think about God's plan to bring Jesus? That it wasn't an accident, it wasn't an afterthought, it wasn't last minute, but that God had a plan when he brought Jesus. Well, you have a lot to read in those Old Testament passages, so not as many questions today, but I would like you to share what you like and what you dislike. The truth is, I really love that Jesus' family wasn't perfect. I love that because my family is far from perfect. What do I not like? I can't believe David murdered one of his close friends. I just can't believe it. Well, application. Remind you what decisions we made this last week And maybe you would be working on those in the middle of the week as you come for small group. Who are you giving the grace of time? That's what I talked about this last weekend. Who are you giving the grace of time to this Christmas? Giving them time to work it out. Maybe you would name a person that you're giving the grace of time. Maybe you need to communicate that you're giving yourself the grace of time. That you recognize that you're still in process. You're not going to be such a perfectionist. And maybe you're trying to give God the grace of time. Thinking of Romans 8:28, that in all things God is working for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And maybe what you want to do is you want to tell God, God, I trust you. I'm giving you time. I believe that you're working. Even though I can't see it, I believe it. Well, I hope that you have a great discussion. Enjoy getting to know some of Jesus' grandmothers. I'll see you next weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.